In high school biology, we are told that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Most people have a picture in their mind of a living cell controlled by a nucleus with many organelles operating in conjunction with one another, including the all-important energy-creating mitochondria. Well, in the real world, there is another kind of powerhouse, one that is just as crucial to the future development of our world as the mitochondria is to the cell. This powerhouse is known as the Special Economic Zone or Industrial Park. And as the demand grows for peace through development and common cooperation, these powerhouses will grow more common. And it is important that we understand the components of successful international development. We need now more than ever to push for radical economic development of all countries and to direct our focuses away from war and join with the rising multipolar paradigm. But what is a special economic zone? Put simply, it is a small geographical area within which businesses have various economic advantages. This includes tax benefits, location, access to infrastructure, and access to resources. These zones have been used to great success by China since their reform and opening up to attract foreign investment and gauge huge productive capabilities. In the new era, since 2006, China has expanded this model to be a key component of their Belt and Road Initiative. By 2017, according to Sun Jiawen of China's Ministry of Commerce, there were 77 economic cooperation zones under construction in 36 different countries. 56 of those zones are located in 20 countries along the Belt and Road Initiative routes. But what is the importance of the Special Economic Zone for economic development? The answer is that much like a cell needs ATP produced in the mitochondria, an economic partnership needs the commodities and technology produced in special economic zones to utilize and reinforce their existing economic ties. And for the mitochondria to produce that ATP, that energy, it needs a steady supply of glucose, which is analogous to raw resources and machine tools available to the special economic zone, making other steps in the metabolic process even more important. For example, let's look at Russia. Russia and China have openly pursued a relationship of win-win cooperation and in doing so created huge amounts of new infrastructure linking the two nations. $400 billion in new energy infrastructure, hundreds of billions of dollars in new rail, and what does Russia do to bolster all of it and deepen their economic cooperation with China? They create dozens of special economic zones along these transport corridors to produce a wide variety of resources and commodities that can be distributed using their now unprecedented infrastructural access. Generally, these zones allow for various other countries to benefit economically by operating a business within the zone. Russia has 48 of these special economic zones, according to their Ministry of Economics, and 18 of those were opened in the last 3 years. These zones aren't only deepening cooperation with China, but are now becoming pivotal to bolstering trade with all of Russia's economic allies. The planned zone in the Republic of Chuvashia, Russia, will build upon trade ties to Azerbaijan. Oleg Nikolaev, the governor of the Republic of Chuvashia, said that in today's conditions, the creation of an SEZ is becoming very important. According to him, in the face of sanctions pressures, this is one of the key tools for developing domestic production and import substitution. For another example, let's look to Belarus, where the Great Stone Industrial Park outside of Minsk has become the pearl of the New Silk Road, according to Xi Jinping. Belarus's central location with regard to the new Eurasian Land Bridge development corridor of China's Belt and Road Initiative has made it an attractive development opportunity, with hundreds of resident businesses from dozens of countries mutually benefiting from efficient production and access to infrastructure. All of this creates thousands of jobs for the local economy and powers the expansion of related cooperative projects, including infrastructure, which can in turn make the special economic zone even more productive. You can now see why I called the Special Economic Zone the Powerhouse of Development. To begin with the premise that economic cooperation is the ultimate goal, the first step from there is to build new infrastructure, which will expand our capabilities of production and distribution. Special economic zones are simply the most efficient way of producing the products and resources that need to be distributed through that newly created infrastructure. This type of multilateral cooperation is a quantum leap ahead of the way that our deindustrialized and decaying economy has been running here in the United States, where trains are flying off the rails because of lack of investment, and all calls for economic cooperation are ignored in favor of endless warmongering. Last month, I spoke at an online Schiller Institute conference alongside many other LaRouche Youth Organization members. One of my friends, Cade Levinson, gave a fantastic speech about his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania. During his speech, he outlined Scranton's history as a mineral-rich industrial center crucial to the development of rail and to fueling the Union during the Civil War. However, like many American cities over the course of the 20th century, Scranton declined to a tiny percentage of its previous industrial capacity, and Scranton is now mostly consigned to munitions manufacture. What was once a powerhouse of development is now being wasted. This got us thinking. Why shouldn't the United States learn from China and Russia and Belarus and all the other countries now aware of the power of special economic zones? Imagine if a state government opened a special economic zone in Scranton, or Chicago, or any other deindustrialized American city. It could capitalize on the existing productive capabilities of that region and encourage the development of new, high-quality infrastructure to transport what is produced, and it could lift Americans out of poverty by providing jobs to the local population. The success would encourage growth, and soon there could be zones lining the coasts and cascading inwards to the heartland of the United States, producing commodities that fit each region's geographical characteristics, and these projects could be coordinated outwardly to connect with the growing chain of global infrastructure. While this all may seem very different from what we have in the US today, the concept itself is not alien to America or our founding principles. Upon founding the United States, many important revolutionaries began working on a series of policies intended to promote useful manufacture. And to this end, Alexander Hamilton proposed a model city near the Great Falls of Paterson, which Hamilton wrote should become a federally administered city that could be a model for the industrialization of the United States. Hamilton noted the particular features of the area that could be utilized for efficient production, such as the immense power of water from the falls and the possibility of constructing a reservoir for milling. All of this was set to bring about an economic miracle, only prevented by the untimely death of Hamilton and the stripping of his useful policies by Albert Gallatin, a Swiss-born British agent. Right now, the world is a scary, changing place. Western leaders are driving us to war, cost of living is rising, and the US is rapidly slipping out of its position as the global hegemon. The world is transitioning, and the US will not be calling the shots in the new paradigm. Multilateral development and win-win cooperation will be the norm, and it will be our job to get on board. Youth here in the US need to fight for rational economic proposals which can correct the disastrous course of US economic policy before we reach utter collapse. One such proposal should be the creation of several new special economic zones that can act as powerhouses, economic drivers behind the transformative revitalization that this country needs. Thank you.